It's midnight and you're tuned in to Nightline with me, Natasha Busst. The top stories. Malaysia and Ethiopia to advance bilateral relations into more strategic phase. And ex-federal minister's former senior aide gets 6 years jail, 8.8 million ringgit fine for bribery. Good morning. Malaysia and Ethiopia are committed to advancing their bilateral relations into a more strategic phase encompassing expanded trade, investment, human capital development, and the strengthening of new economic cooperation. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the commitment was reached following a four-eye meeting with his counterpart, Abiy Ahmed Ali. Earlier, Anwar was accorded an official welcome at the National Palace in Addis Ababa. He was received by Abiy Ahmed before inspecting the Guard of Honor and witnessing a march past by the Honor Guard and the ceremonial band. Both leaders then planted an oil palm tree in the palace gardens as a symbol of friendship between the two nations. Anwar was also given the honor of viewing Emperor Haile Selassie's personal vehicle collection at the car museum located within the National Palace grounds. The late Haile Selassie served as Ethiopia's emperor from 1930 to 1974. This was followed by a four-eye meeting between Anwar and Abiy Ahmed. At the joint press conference, Anwar said Malaysia welcomed the progress in cooperation, including the agreement to initiate a periodic consultation mechanism which would expand opportunities for people-to-people collaboration and strengthen ties between the two countries.
But beyond that, of course, some of the new technology, the new challenges, new direction, includes energy transition, digital transformation, which includes, of course, data centers, AI, semiconductor. We have our strength and you have your strength. I think this collaboration is important. Both of us share the need to focus on enhancing this bilateral relations, trade, and using our countries to penetrate the neighboring countries in the region.
He added that Malaysia is prepared to open access for products such as chicken, birds' nests, and livestock feed, as well as offer expertise in palm oil cultivation and high-quality seeds.
We have huge amount of skilled employees, skilled youngsters, but we really want to learn your experience on how we can link that skilled youngsters to the industry.
Last year, Ethiopia was Malaysia's 26th largest trading partner in Africa. Bilateral trade totaled 625.6 million ringgit, with Malaysian exports accounting for nearly 580 million ringgit, an increase of 50% from the previous year. During a brief meeting with Ethiopia's President Haile Selassie Amde, Anwar said Malaysia welcomed the opening of Ethiopia's embassy in Kuala Lumpur as a step to further strengthen friendship, trust, and bilateral cooperation. He noted that Malaysia had reopened its embassy in Addis Ababa last September in line with recognizing Ethiopia as a key diplomatic hub in Africa. Anwar and Haile Selassie also agreed to bring the 60-year diplomatic relationship between the two countries into a new direction, expanding from traditional cooperation to high-value sectors. In a separate event, Anwar emphasized that youth are drivers of change and society should harness their energy, creativity, and initiative.
I've seen youth in action. First, of course, to free the mind, to be more reasoned, more critical, to understand that without peace, nothing works. And to secure peace means some form of understanding and compromise is required.
He said this during a special lecture at the Afro-Malaysia Youth Forum in Addis Ababa. Anwar noted that with growing concerns over declining trust in institutions, misleading digital information, and uneven political participation, young people have emerged as champions of transparency, civic responsibility, and the formulation of inclusive policies.
From a normal diplomatic encounter.
Wrapping up his visit to the African nation, the Prime Minister told reporters at a press conference that there was much to be learned from Ethiopia, particularly on issues relating to interfaith relations and solidarity.
Bagi kita penting dari segi rakyat Malaysia yang pelbagai kaum, pelbagai agama memahami bahawa tidak semua hubungan antara kaum dan agama ini harus menjurus kepada ketegangan.
Anwar is the first serving Prime Minister to visit Ethiopia since diplomatic relations with Malaysia were established in 1965. The Prime Minister was in Addis Ababa on a reciprocal visit following his counterpart Abiy Ahmed's trip to Kuala Lumpur in October last year. Upon completing his 3-day official visit to Ethiopia, Anwar will undertake a working visit to South Africa to lead the Malaysian delegation to the Group of 20 or G20 Leaders Summit for 2 days from November 22nd. The Prime Minister is scheduled to arrive in Johannesburg at 7 p.m. local time on Thursday. In a statement, Wisma Putra said Anwar's attendance in Malaysia's capacity as ASEAN chair is at the invitation of South African President and G20 President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is expected to use the G20 platform to provide constructive insights on global economic and environmental issues, particularly those affecting countries in the global south. During the summit, Anwar will present the ASEAN perspective in 2 main sessions covering inclusive economic growth, development financing, debt management, disaster risk reduction, climate change, just energy transitions, and food systems. In addition, the Prime Minister is scheduled to hold a bilateral meeting with President Ramaphosa to review and continue discussions held during the latter's official visit to Malaysia last month. Key areas of focus include trade and investment, the halal industry, palm oil, education, and capacity development. The G20 is a geo-economic grouping comprising 19 countries and 2 regional organizations, the European Union and the African Union. G20 members collectively represent more than 85% of global gross domestic product, 75% of international trade, and 65% of the world's population. An ex-senior private secretary to a former tourism, arts and culture minister has been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment and fined 8.8 million ringgit by the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court after he was found guilty of 8 counts of receiving bribes amounting to 1.77 million ringgit relating to a ministerial advertising tender in 2018. The court also ordered Muhammad Saifullah Muhammad Minggu, alias Muhammad Hisham, to serve another 7 years in jail if he fails to pay the fine. Saifullah broke down in tears when Judge Susanna Hussein delivered her sentence. The 34-year-old, who was a senior officer for former Minister Datuk Muhammadin Ketapi, could not control his emotions and sobbed when the sentence was handed down. In her decision, the judge said the defense had failed to raise a reasonable doubt in the case. The court, however, allowed an application by Saifullah's lawyer, Ashraf Abu Bakar Hamza, for a stay of execution pending an appeal to the High Court. Susanna allowed Saifullah bail but raised it from 200,000 ringgit to 280,000 ringgit. She also ordered the accused to report his attendance to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission and for his passport to be surrendered to the court. Saifullah was convicted of 8 counts of receiving 1.77 million ringgit from Ronald Seto Kong Seng, the owner of Interbev Network Sdn Bhd, as an inducement for the accused to promise to obtain a branding and creative services tender for the company. The tender was for a Tourism Malaysia campaign. The offences were committed at several premises between December 21st, 2018 and March 1st, 2019. Saifullah was charged under the MACC Act, which provides imprisonment of up to 20 years and a fine 5 times the amount of gratification or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher. Moving on. Repairs to the technical system malfunction at the Kuala Lumpur monorail's Medan Tuanku station have been completed. According to Rapid KL, all alternative train services have been discontinued and train operations have returned to normal. Earlier on Thursday, commuters faced significant delays due to technical issues that halted trains between the Medan Tuanku and Chowkit stations. Rapid Rail Sendirian Berhad said a transit officer on board the affected train safely evacuated passengers. Rapid Rail said its engineering team was deployed to the site earlier in the day to carry out repairs and restore operations as quickly as possible. During the disruption, alternative shuttle train services were activated between KL Central and Hang Tuah stations and between Hang Tuah and Bukit Nana stations. Shuttle buses were also provided between Titiwangsa and Bukit Nana stations. Following Thursday's malfunction, social media was flooded with calls for improvements to the monorail's infrastructure. Netizens pointed to the system's age, urging the introduction of newer and more reliable alternatives. Others expressed relief that no passengers were injured during the outage. Many also called on authorities to implement stricter safety measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Public Transport Users Association, or 4PAM, has called for urgent improvements to safety measures and passenger protection following the monorail incident. In a statement, its president, Ajit Joel, said the incident serves as a timely reminder of the critical need for continuous improvements in safety standards, emergency preparedness, and transparent communication with passengers. Ajit also urged an immediate technical review to identify the root cause of the disruption, along with clear accountability without resorting to finger pointing. He added that the relevant parties should also explore compensation policies, alternative transport arrangements, and customer care support during major service interruptions. The 2026 outlook for companies across the Asia-Pacific, excluding China, remains stable. According to Moody's ratings, steady average gross domestic product, or GDP, growth of around 3.4% supports business activity and corporate earnings. As for 2025, Moody's said growth is expected to reach 3.6%. In a note, Moody's said on average, GDP growth in the Asia-Pacific will remain steady at 3.4% in 2026, compared with 3.3% in 2024 and expected growth of 3.6% in 2025. It also noted that technology spending, particularly in artificial intelligence, will remain a major investment theme heading into 2026, with data center capacity to more than double through 2030, requiring significant investments. The impact will be more significant in 2026 to 2027 amid wider deployment of new technologies. Such trends are expected to benefit companies across the AI value chain, including semiconductor players, data center operators, cloud service providers, and enterprise technology firms. The Japanese government plans to roll out an economic package worth over 20 trillion yen, or about $129 billion to help citizens cope with rising living costs. According to Kyodo News, the measures include a gasoline tax cut, are expected to be approved by the cabinet on Friday. The extra budget is set to reach about $109.2 million, exceeding last year's $89.3 million. As part of the the package, the government will provide subsidies for electricity and gas bills for the first 3 months of next year, along with financial support for local governments to introduce their own relief programs such as rice vouchers. This comes as Japan's economy shrank for the first time in 6 quarters in July to September, with consumer spending weakening amid higher prices. The growing sophistication of so-called deepfake videos that can mimic a specific person is adding to the arsenal of cyber criminals, with almost 5% of fraud attempts last year making use of the artificial intelligence-driven technology. According to City Institute, deepfakes are now able to imitate real people in real time, meaning that tech-based con artistry has moved from simple manipulation to full-scale infiltration. Instances of such fraud have climbed nearly 50-fold in the past 2 years in areas such as recruitment and finance. The researchers said, calling for current trust in communication to be questioned and for employees to be trained to never trust and always verify. The researchers warned efforts at deepfakes are spreading across recruitment, financial operations, and executive impersonation. It also warned that deepfakes have become powerful tools of manipulation and fraud, marking a new era in financial crime. Citi explained that deepfakes can not only convey emotions like joy, anger, empathy, and sadness, but the AI models that churn them out can now learn and imitate emotional tones from human speech, making these synthetic voices even more convincing. It said one firm reported almost half of its job applications as fakes, with warnings that around a quarter of applications across all industries could end up being fakes in 3 years' time. ...468 immigrants detained in immigration raids. This and more after this breather.
Apa kata kalau kita pergi Ipoh?
Melaka dengan Johor pun best juga.
Siapa yang dia tinggal ni? Mana ambil lah.
Cerita dia sangat rasa macam menyentuhlah hati dan perasaan jugalah.
Cerita ni macam kena gila, dekat gila dengan kita orang. As a student juga, kita orang pun macam experience benda sama.
Untuk orang yang tengah in love, memang sesuai sangat tengok cerita ni.
Kenalah dengan jiwa kita orang yang very Gen Z, yang nak nyanyi-nyanyi sambil tengok.
Saya bagi 9/10.
Kalau di Infinity tu saya bagi Infinity.
Saya 100. Jangan lupa tonton Rangga dan Cinta. Dapatkan tiket sekarang.
Dia fast learner. Dia ambil kira apa yang kita pesan.
Dia jenis susah nak aku kalah. Kalau nak kalah tu dia tak puas hati lah.
Paling happy masa saya kat Jakarta. Saya tak nak putus asa.
Saya cek dalam Google, tak pernah orang dalam dunia, lagi satu budak, guna kasut paku.
Saya dapat Masya Book of Record menggunakan kasut paku.
Saya tengok semangat anak saya sesuai agak. Dia boleh capai, dia punya target.
Dayah, kalau pergi majlis kahwin, awak bagi duit tak?
Mestilah bagi. Salam kaut kan antara budaya dan hukum.
Saya sakit pinggang daripada malam tadi sampai ke kaki sakit.
Okey, ini macam simptom sakit saya, Tika. Nak tanya, kawasan rumah awak ada musang tak?
Musang, kucing banyaklah.
Sekarang ni banyak kes musang masuk rumah orang.
Jaga-jaga, tantah musang tu orang hantar sihir.
Awak ni kenapa cakap macam tu?
Zaman digital ni sekarang sihir orang boleh hantar guna media sosial tau.
Semuanya di MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat.
Eksklusif ditonton dan TV3.
Nightline continues. The Shah Alam High Court on Thursday allowed an inquest to proceed into the death of a University Technology Mara UiTM Palapes cadet officer last November. However, Judge Rosiana Yati Ahmad rejected the application to exhume the grave of the late Muhammad Amir Rushaidi Muhammad Zaidi. During the proceedings, the judge said there was no dispute over the cause of Amir Rushaidi's death that would justify exhuming his body for a second autopsy. The medical team at Shah Alam Hospital, she added, had already determined that he died of heat stroke, which led to multiple organ failure. The judge also instructed the police to reopen investigations to establish the circumstances surrounding his death. On November 10, 2024, the UiTM student reportedly fainted during a training session at the parade ground. He was taken to hospital but died 3 days later. In Negeri Sembilan, a police probe revealed that the man who was shot and slashed at a restaurant in Sendayan on Wednesday had a criminal record with 42 prior offences. State Police Chief Dato Alzafni Ahmad said the offences comprised various violations, including robbery, causing injury, and housebreaking. In the 11 p.m. incident, the victim was pronounced dead at the scene with slash wounds and gunshot injuries to his body. According to eyewitnesses, the 33-year-old victim went to the eatery to have dinner with his family. As the deceased was heading towards his vehicle, 6 suspects in several cars reportedly blocked his path. The suspects, believed to be armed with a pistol and a machete, then got out of their vehicles and attacked the deceased. The deceased's remains were sent to the Rumbau Hospital for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. In Pahang, the Immigration Department detained 468 illegal immigrants in an operation dubbed Op Gempur on Thursday. The foreigners were held for various offences, including failure to produce identification documents and for overstaying. Several raids were conducted simultaneously across 4 main zones, targeting business hubs, construction sites, and vegetable and fruit collection centers. The operation was carried out following public tip-offs about the influx of illegal immigrants working in business premises and vegetable farms in the area, with some reportedly having earned a living there for several years. In a desperate bid to evade arrest, some were found hiding in vehicles and toilets, while others sustained injuries from falls while trying to flee. Immigration Department Director General Datuk Zakaria Shapan said a total of 1,886 foreigners were screened. Myanmar nationals made up the largest number of detainees at 175, followed by 174 from Bangladesh, 67 from Indonesia, and 20 from Nepal. Mount Semeru eruption, 7-day emergency declared. The details when Nightline returns.
Tak lah, tapi rasa jealous lah tengok diorang sebab saya macam ni, lepas tu kadang bila tengok diorang boleh buat apa yang diorang boleh buat, bila saya tengok macam tu saya rasa macam kenapa saya tak boleh buat macam diorang.
Akak pun memang mengharapkan dia pulih supaya dia boleh jadi macam anak orang lain, dia boleh bebas macam anak orang lain, boleh makan apa yang orang lain makan. Kalau ditakdirkan dia pulih, akak nak bagi semua apa yang dia nak makan yang sekarang ni dia tak boleh makan.
Dia ni dia fast learner. Dia ambil kira apa yang kita pesan.
Dia jenis susah nak aku kalah. Kalau nak kalah tu dia tak puas hati lah.
Paling happy masa saya kat Jakarta. Saya tak nak putus asa.
Saya cek dalam Google, tak pernah orang dalam dunia lagi satu budak guna kasut paku.
Saya dapat Masya Book of Record menggunakan kasut paku.
Saya tengok semangat anak saya sesuai agak. Dia boleh capai dia punya target.
Baca doa dulu.
Allahu Akbar, lupa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatika. Ya Allah,
bukakanlah pintu-pintu rahmatmu untuk kami. Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Lagi satu jangan lupa, kita kena niat iktikaf dulu. Okey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nawaitu li'iktikaf fil hazal masjid lillahi ta'ala. Sahaja aku beriktikaf dalam masjid ni kerana Allah Ta'ala. Baru boleh masuk. Ini tak lupa. Jom.
Sorry lah.
Tanyalah Ustaz minggu ini, Isnin keluarga berperanan. Selasa, kuduah dalam solat berjemaah. Rabu, saat semua dihimpunkan. Khamis, sang pemuda contoh. Jumaat, rezeki tanpa sedar. Sabtu, buta tanpa ilmu. Ahad, ampunan dalam Islam. Tanyalah Ustaz, biar tahu jangan keliru di TV3 dan TV9, stream juga ditonton.
A 7-day emergency response period has been declared in Lumajang, East Java, Indonesia on Thursday following the eruption of Mount Semeru. Authorities have evacuated over 900 residents and safely brought back more than 170 climbers who were stranded on the mountain.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, ya Allah, la haula wala quwwata illa billah.
Mount Semeru's alert level was maintained at its highest after it erupted 10 times on Wednesday, spewing massive ash clouds and sending lava and rocks as far as 13 kilometers down its slopes. Rescuers evacuated at least 178 climbers stranded on the mountain's summit. Meanwhile, East Java's rescue agency dispatched dozens of personnel to help with evacuations, moving 956 nearby residents to schools, mosques and government buildings. The eruption also sent a pyroclastic cloud into residential areas, causing severe burns to 3 people. So far, no casualties have been reported. At least 5 Palestinians were killed in separate Israeli strikes in southern Gaza early Thursday morning. 3 of the casualties occurred when an Israeli airstrike hit a house in the Bani Suhaila area east of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Separately, 2 people have been killed in Abasan al-Kabira, also to the east of Khan Yunis. A series of airstrikes were also reported further south in the city of Rafah, still under Israeli occupation. Israeli strikes have killed 32 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, Qatar, a key mediator in the Hamas-Israel war, condemned the strikes, saying they threaten to upend a fragile weeks-long truce. Younger Australian teenagers on Instagram, Facebook and Threads are being told their accounts will be shut down ahead of the country's social media ban for under-16s. Meta said it has begun notifying users it believes are between 13 and 15 years old via text, email and in-app alerts that their accounts will start being deactivated from December 4th. The ban in Australia takes effect on December 10th and will apply to several platforms, including TikTok, YouTube, X, and Reddit. Social media companies that fail to take reasonable steps to block users under 16 could face fines of up to $32.4 million. On to sports now. Badminton and the 2025 Australian Open. Malaysia's title hopes remain intact with 3 national shuttlers marching into the quarterfinals on Thursday. Mixed doubles world champions Chen Tangjie and Toh Yiwei put their injury setbacks behind them, easing past Taiwan's Liu Kuang-heng, Zheng Yuqie 21-16, 21-14. The reigning champions, chasing their first World Tour title this year, will next face Ye Hongwei and Nicole Chan. In the men's doubles, independent pair Go Sifei and Nur Izzuddin fought back to beat Taiwan's 12th-ranked Li Jiehui, Yang Po Xuan 21-23, 21-17, 21-10 after nearly an hour on court. They now take on the South Korean-Malaysian combination of Choi Sol-gyu and Go Vi Shem, who earlier defeated compatriots Wan Arif Wan Junaidi and Yap Roy King. Meanwhile, Man Wei Chong and T Kai Woon cruised past Denmark's Christian Faust Kjær and Rasmus Kjær 21-11, 21-16 in just 28 minutes. Already guaranteed a spot at next month's World Tour Finals, they will meet Indonesia's Raymond Indra and Nicolaus Joaquin in the quarterfinals.
And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at snow blanketing the higher ground of the Yorkshire Dales as the UK experiences its first Arctic blast of the winter. With that, I'm Natasha. Thank you for watching and stay safe.